the city. My name is Miss Stephanie, and as always, I'm so glad you've joined us. I know we haven't been anywhere in a few weeks. We aren't riding a train or a plane, and not in the car very much either. But each week when you join me for Everyday Armor, you do get a jump on the fun bus. And here it comes! I love starting our time together with a game, and today it's Hidden Emoji. Here's how it works. On the screen, you'll see a picture of something you might see here in the city. Somewhere in that picture is an emoji hiding. When you see it, shout it out. Who's ready to play? Did you find it? What do you think it is? Is it a slice of pizza or a hot dog? If you guessed pizza, you got it. New York is famous for their thin crust pizza. Okay, ready for number 2? Who can guess what emoji is hidden here? Do you see it? Is that a bus or a fountain? If you guessed it was a fountain, you did great. All right, last one. Did you spot it? Can you tell what it is? Is that a cup of coffee or a waving hand? If you said it was a cup of my favorite beverage, you'd be correct. It was coffee. You can find all of those things and so much more in the city. What I think is fun about the city are all the different cultures that live here. New York City is known as the cultural capital of the world. That means so many different people from different places live and work right here. I've told you about one of my favorite people, and that's award-winning reporter Jo Miller. She's at it again, finding great stories about the people who live here. Let's check out who she's talking to now.
Hey everyone, it's Jo on the Go, and I'm Jo Miller, coming to you live each and every day as I take to the streets to give you all the deets. Today is going to be shredded! We're gonna catch up with professional skateboarder Carter Collins. How cool is that? Check out what we're all about today. Carter?
What's up, Jo? I'm so stoked to see you.
Those tricks were killer.
Oh yeah? You saw that triple set trick with an ollie slide?
I think so. Whatever it's called, those moves are so crazy. Did it take you forever and a day to learn how to do all of that?
I was born to shred, but definitely spent a lot of time learning the tricks of the trade.
And I bet everyone thinks you are so cool. In fact, I have done some research.
As a reporter does.
Well, and I found out that you have at least 50 different proteges. For the people on the other side of the camera, explain what that means.
Sure. Well, a protege is just a fancy word for people who think that what you do is rad and they want to learn from you.
That's beyond cool that so many people are wanting to follow your lead. How did that even happen?
I've been skating for a long time, and I started hanging out with some other dudes that love to skate too. I was chilling with them, and then I started to notice that they were doing and saying some things that were the opposite of cool.
Oh, really? Explain for us what was going down.
Yeah, so here's an example. I was doing a tray flip down a 3-stair, right? And when I was done, I noticed some of the guys were over there by the quarter pipe saying some straight up bad words.
Ooh, that is not good. What'd you do about that scene?
It got pretty gnarly. The newer guys started following along. It started with bad words and stuff and eventually got way worse. They were excluding others and messing with different skaters' equipment, tons of stuff that God wouldn't be cool with. Negative influence all over the place.
Sounds like that was not top tier.
You're right, and I had a choice to make. I could take my board and bail, or I could join in and act like they do. I could either fit in, or I could take a stand for what was right.
It can be so hard to stand up and do the right thing. I've actually been reporting about the armor of God lately, and Carter, this whole sitch sounds like a perfect opportunity to put on the armor of godliness. That's the piece that protects our hearts from wanting to do the wrong thing while helping us have the power to do the right thing. I'm sure everyone is dying to know, what did you end up doing?
it was hard to take a stand against those guys. I mean, they were pretty cool, and I wanted them to like me, and I wanted them to skate with me. But I remembered that the devil uses other people that can be bad influences to turn our hearts away from God. Because I wanted to do what God says is right, I put on the armor of godliness and took a stand against the devil. I talked to those dudes, and you know what? It ended up being cooler than a 1080 flip. They realized that what they were doing was wrong, and they changed their ways.
So by taking a stand and doing what was right, they saw how they should act out here at the park. And now they follow your lead. Awesome! Hey Carter, thanks for hanging with us today and showing us exactly what the armor of godliness looks like in action.
Totally.
Well, that's it for us today. Join us next time for Joe on the Go. I can't wait to see who we will meet next.
How cool was that? It's so fun to learn about how everyday armor is getting used by people every day in different ways. I've been told I'm too old to get on a skateboard and learn all those tricks, but now might be a good time for you to try it out. Carter was an awesome skateboarder, and better yet, an awesome soldier for God. Today, he told us all about the armor of godliness, or some people might call it the chest plate of righteousness. That piece of armor helps us do the right thing even when it's hard. Carter told us about how he was surrounded by people who were saying and doing the wrong things. I bet you've found yourself in that situation before. We need to look at Carter's example here, because he didn't let it keep going. Carter knows what God says is right because of the Bible. Remember, God's Word tells us what is right and wrong. Let's check out this week's Bible story to learn just why we need to put on the armor of godliness.
God's people, the Israelites, had disobeyed God. Because of that, God allowed their enemies, the Midianites, to come and take over their land. The Israelites were so scared of the Midianites that they went and hid in caves. The Israelites needed help, so they prayed to God and asked Him to help them. The Bible tells us that God sent an angel to talk to a man named Gideon. Gideon was hiding in the caves too, because he was also afraid of the Midianites. The angel greeted Gideon by saying, "Mighty warrior, the Lord is with you." Gideon knew how badly he and his people had been treated. He said to the angel, "You say the Lord is with us. Then why has all of this happened?" The angel said, "You are strong. Go and save Israel." Gideon didn't agree with what the angel was saying. "How can I possibly save Israel? I'm not strong or important." But God promised to be with Gideon and to give him victory. Later that night, God spoke to Gideon and told him to tear down the altar that was built to one of the false gods named Baal, and the pole that was built to worship the false god Asherah. Gideon was supposed to build the right kind of altar, where people could worship the one true God. Even though Gideon was scared, he believed that God would protect him and he could do the right thing. So Gideon waited until it was nighttime and then went out and did exactly what God told him to do. When everyone woke up the next morning, they could not believe their eyes. The altar to Baal was demolished and the Asherah pole was cut down. In its place was a new altar for worshiping the one true God. God used Gideon to do great things and gave him the power he needed, even when he was scared. Sometimes it can be scary or hard to do what's right. That's because even though we can't see it, there's a spiritual battle taking place between God and the devil over the hearts of each person on earth. God has given us His armor to protect us and gives His power in the middle of this battle. When we put on the armor of godliness, it will protect our hearts from wanting to do the wrong thing and give us the power to do what's right. We can put on the armor of godliness.
Aren't you glad the armor of godliness helps our hearts want to do the right thing? It also gives us the power to say no to the wrong thing. We wear the armor over our hearts because the Bible tells us it's the most important place of all. When we put on the armor of godliness, we protect our hearts, and that will help us know how to do what's right. Let's put it on together. Are you ready? Put on the armor of godliness. Put on the armor of godliness. God doesn't want us to just protect our hearts. That's why He has given us 6 pieces of armor. Remember, we've got the belt of truth that we learned about last week, then the armor of godliness, the good news boots, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of Spirit. Each one of those pieces is completely invisible, but we know that doesn't make it not real. Let's sing that song we learned last week that helps us remember to put on God's armor.
Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. I put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. I put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, you got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, I gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Ayo, ayo. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Now in faith we can stand against every evil plan. Now it's time to be strong. He has won. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God.
God's armor protects us each day from the evil in the world. And we are learning this week that His armor of godliness helps us stand firm and choose the right thing even when it's tough. But that's not all. It helps us remember to depend on God more than anything or anyone else. So what does that look like in real life? Let's learn from Josh. He is a kid just like you. Josh tries his best to do the right thing every day. Earlier this week, one of his friends asked to see the answers on his paper. Josh knew that it wasn't right to let his friend cheat off his paper. So Josh put on the armor of godliness and told his friend to just try her best instead of cheating. As you can see, when you put on that armor of godliness, you'll be able to choose what God says is right. Well, we've come to my very favorite part of the show now. It's shout out time. Let's check out who's saying hello today. If you want to be on our next Everyday Armor, just ask your parents to video you doing a 10 to 20 second hello and send it to my email at stephanie@vanazarene.org. Well, our time together just flew by. You want to raise a hallelujah before we leave? Okay, let's do it.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah.
All right, it's time for us to pray. Let's bow our heads together. Thank you so much, God, for all that you have given us. It's hard to remember sometimes, especially right now, that you've done so much for us, God. I just ask and pray that you help each one of the children listening to me tonight, God, understand how much you love them and how much you're there for them always. I just ask that you help them remember to put on your armor each and every day, especially the armor of godliness, so it will protect our hearts and help us make the right decisions. Amen. Well, I miss all your faces so much. And don't forget to send in your shout outs. See y'all next week.